Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI, bahasham, qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth according to the Bible through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, and the sincere peace and salutation to all you hopeful elect Akim out there pushing his word in all truth and sincerity, doing the work as YAHAWAH has commanded you to do, so you can wake up and seal the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you Israelites who are scattered amongst the heathen nations that may look like the heathen nations, but your father's seed line goes back to you being the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. One of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Shalom. It's your brother Halaki from the GMS Denver camp coming back once again through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI with another video. And this time I have an article from RT News, and it reads, Denmark plans to reopen the country with C passports and over 50s vaccinations. You see this? You see the pattern that's taking place? This is going to be the new normal, man. And eventually, like we always say, beginning with our apostles and our elders, this shit is going to transform and evolve into what? The RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, man. This is what's coming. You see? This is what you see being rolled out all throughout the earth. It's starting as these passports, but that's going to eventually turn into the MOB, man. So, real quick, I want to get two scriptures real quick. This is Isaiah. What is that? It's like Isaiah 62. This is Isaiah chapter 62, verse 6. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of YAHAWASHI, keep not silence. And that's what we do, man. This is why we constantly bring out the same scriptures over and over and over again. Because what? We take these articles and we filter them through the scriptures and put the right scriptures with the topic that's being presented to us in the article, man. And what's being presented to us right now, the gradual rollout of the MOB system, man. This is what you see happening. Esau is gradually rolling these things out to you and basically telling you, well, to have access to society again, you're going to have to do this, and this, and you're going to have this. And this is why we continue to blow that trumpet, because what? This is going to eventually make its way over here to the U.S., man. And we're giving our people the heads up before it happens. We're giving you that warning, man. We're those watchmen, and we're blowing those trumpets, letting you know that the enemy is coming with his bullshit, man. So verse 7 says what? And give him no rest till he establish and until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. And that's what we do, man. And that's why you see the men of Great Millstone beginning with our elder apostles, you see, putting out videos every day, man. Constantly warning and giving updates of what's going on in the world, as we're supposed to be doing. So now, let's get this one, then we can get the article. This is our 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11 says what? Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. We see exactly what these devils are trying to do. And us being a watchman of Israel, being the prophets of the Lord through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, we're warning our people of what the devil, Satan, Esau, Edom is doing, man. We're telling you that he's gradually rolling this system out to you, man. He wants to gradually put you up under these passports so you can get used to having something so you can have access to society. He wants you to get used to that idea of having to do that. So when this MOB is presented to you, it won't be nothing strange, because what? You've already had this passport for however many months they had it rolled out, you know. So when the MOB comes, it's like it's just the upgraded version of the passport. We see what this man is doing, man, and that's why we're giving warning to our people, because this shit is coming, as the Most High prophesied that it would, as the Most High said that it would, man. You see, so let's get the article. So it says Denmark Denmark is expected to start reopening in the next few weeks after the parliament agreed on a new plan to get out of lockdown. The easing and the thing is, all these countries are on board with it, man. This shit was already it's already been worked out. The plan has already been decided on. They're just now rolling it out to the people. But this shit has been decided on, man. Just like right before they made the vaccinations mandatory, it was already decided that they were going to be, not mandatory, but approved. It was already decided beforehand that it was going to be approved. They just had to put it on the show. To act like they just came up with it on the spot. Yeah, we're going to approve it. No, it's already been approved. It's the same thing that's happening right here, man. This plan has already been laid out, and now they're rolling it out to the people. You see? So it says what? After in the next few weeks, after Parliament agreed on a new plan to get out of lockdown, the easing of the restrictions will rely on C passports. You hear that? So that's what the easing of restrictions will rely on, man. The same thing is coming to America. Because trust and believe, with all this shit that's going on right now, a second lockdown is coming. They're doing away with the mask mandates. They're opening up these borders, man. States are fully open. Some states are fully open now. Texas being the main one. Hey, you got motherfuckers on spring break down there in Florida. You got motherfuckers on spring break down there in Cancun. You just had this Super Bowl shit pop off. You see? And what do they call these events? They call them super spreader events, man. Why are they doing this? So they can have justification of bringing in another lockdown with even more restrictions upon you. And for those restrictions to be eased, you're going to have a passport. You're going to have to follow the steps, you see, in order to receive this passport, to have so-called freedom again. This is what's happening, man. So it says what? The easing of the restrictions will rely on the C passports and the vaccination of over 50s. You hear that? So those are those are the stipulations, man. So it says what? Various services such as hairdressers, tattoo parlors, and spas are expected to resume next month, according to a plan approved by the country's parliament late on Monday. Larger venues, including cinemas and restaurants, will follow the smaller businesses in May. It says what? The more or less full reopening of the country is tied to the vaccination of all citizens over 50. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has said this goal is expected to be reached in late May. With few exceptions, the Danish society is open once. With few exceptions, the Danish society is open once everyone over the age of 50 has been offered a vaccine, the Prime Minister said. So it says what? The plan will be also heavily dependent on the introduction of the so-called C passports. These documents will show whether the holder has been vaccinated, has been previously infected, or taken a test in the last 72 hours. The passport will be required to visit gradually open services. You see? So without this passport, you will not be able to access these services that they're now reopening. You see that? This is what you call gradualism. And this passport is gonna be evolved into the what? The MOB. You see? This is what's happening, man. So it goes on to say the country has experienced a recent drop in C infection rates following a spike in December and the tough lockdown measures that followed. And they did that for a purpose. So you people can be willing to go get the vaccine just to get this passport so you can get back to your normal life. That's exactly what they did, man. The same shit that's about to happen here. They're about to allow all these, the summertime, they're about to allow them to party, be at all these different damn clubs, and they're going to say what? The number's going to spike. The number's going to spike. The number's going to spike. You see? 10,000 deaths over here. 40,000 infections over here. 50,000 deaths over here. that shit about to get ramped up. And what's going to happen? The second lockdown will come. Even tighter restrictions. You see? Then they say if you want to ease these restrictions, you have to get the vaccine. You see? And when you get the vaccine, you can have this proof, this passport, so where you can go back to these gradually open businesses. And if you don't have that, you will not be able to go to these businesses that we're newly opening up or reopening. You see, after these lockdowns happen. This is what you see taking place, man. So it goes on to say, Denmark has registered some 227,000 cases of C-19 and 2,400 deaths. While the figures are significantly lower than those of the worst affected nations, which America was one of the so-called worst affected nations, the tally is still relatively large for a country of 5.8 million people. Among Nordic countries, Denmark's numbers are surpassed only by Sweden, which has registered nearly 750,000 cases of C-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. So what you see in here right here is a gradual rollout of this market beast system. Either play ball or be locked out of society, man. This is what you see taking place. This is what you see forming on the planet Earth with these C passports, man. You see, this is what you see taking form of the only way you can have access to society is by going along with the plan. And best believe this is going to call for the mandatory vaccination, man. Just so you can receive the passport to be able to move around in society. Then that shit is going to evolve into that microchip, man, which is the RFID chip, the mark of the beast. You see? This is what this devil is doing. So let's get to prophecy. Revelation 13 and 16. And he, you see that he is talking about Esau Edom, the so-called white man, beginning with the elites. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Merovingians, man. The top elite banking family. That's the one who's pushing this. Revelation 13 and 6 says what? He calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Meaning it doesn't matter who you are in the society, rich or poor, free or bond. It doesn't matter. This is going to be mandatory in the society that they're trying to usher in. And we see it start to take form all throughout the earth. You had the state of Israel do it with the green passport. You see, you got other countries talking about a passport, basically a freedom passport to be able to move in society. You see? The same thing is going to come to America, and it's going to take then it's eventually going to take the form of the RFID chip, man. And this is going to be mandatory. No ifs, ands, or buts. Verse 17 says what? And that no man might buy or sell. You see that no man might buy or sell, so you're not going to be able to take part in society if you don't have this, man. That's just what we read in the article, man. But now it's just coming in that a lower form, which is just the passport. You see, it's going to transform. It's going to evolve even more. But that's what they're telling you that already. That if you don't have this passport, you will not be able to partake in society. It's already right there in your face, man. Because it says what? This reopening, the ease of these restrictions is going to be heavily dependent upon what? The passport, man. So Revelation 13 and 17 say what? And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And that's what it's going to come to, man. That's what it's going to come to. That you will not be able to buy or sell or do anything in society if you don't have this mark of the beast, man. If you don't have this RFID chip, because that's what's coming. Either that or that Neuralink. That's the mark in your forehead, you see? The Neuralink is the mark in your forehead. Or any type of brain-computer interface they're trying to put up in your head, that's a form of the mark of the beast, man. And you will not be able to partake in society if you don't have that chip in your hand or that chip in your damn head, man. You see? So it says what? And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You see? That's what the new society is going to be heavily dependent upon, just like it told you in the article. If, you see, heavily dependent on if you have this mark, which is the RFID chip. Verse 18 says what? Here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. You hear that? It's the number of a man. And who was that man? The Edomites, beginning with their elites. Once again, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Merovingians, man, the top elite banking family. They're the ones who are pushing this upon the people. They're the ones who have these nations gradually rolling this plan out because their end game is to what? To eventually chip everyone. So it says what? For it is the number of a man, the elites of the Edomites, and his number is 603 score and 6. Now let's go into this word 666, man. 603 score and 6. It says what? Chai stigma. Let's go into that word stigma. The word stigma goes into what? Let's go to the origin of the word. Origin, Greek, stigma, a mark made by an pointed instrument. You hear that? That's what the 666 goes into, the stigma in 666, Chai stigma. It goes into a mark made by a pointed instrument. This is talking about when you're inserted with that RFID chip by way of that hollow needle, man. You see? They're going to take that needle, put it in your hand between your index finger and your thumb, and they're going to insert that chip inside of you, man. That's the mark made by a pointed instrument. Letting you know it's something physical, man. It's nothing spiritual. They're going to put something physical inside of you, which is the RFID chip or that neural link inside your brain. This is what we see gradually being rolled out. And you're going to see it, man, in the coming months because it's happening. All nations they're easing the restrictions. They're opening up their countries. They're opening up their borders. And right now, it's for what? It's a passport, which is eventually going to turn into that RFID chip, man. And that's the only way you're going to be able to operate in society. And if you don't have that, you see, you won't be able to partake. You see? Just like the prophecy tells us, man. Just like we just read in the article. If you don't have that passport, you will not be able to take part in Denmark society, man. The same thing is about to happen all throughout the earth. So it goes on to say late 16th century, denoting a mark made by pricking or branding. What are you going to be pricked with? That needle they're going to use to put the RFID chip under your skin, or the needle they're going to use to insert the neural link into your brain. That's the pricking. You see? It says from what? From Latin, via Latin, from Greek stigma, a mark made by a pointed instrument. And that pointed instrument is the needle they're going to use to insert you with that mark of the beast, man. So let's go back. So we got that. Let's get the judgment written for anyone who receives this, man. Because there's a judgment written for any one of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that gets this chip, man. You see? There's a judgment written for any one of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who gets the chip. And this is why we're the watchmen blowing these trumpets, warning you of what's coming and what you should be doing, or what you should do when you're presented with it. You're to refuse it, you see? All Israelites are to refuse this RFID chip, the mark of the beast. All Israelites are to refuse the neural link in your brain, man. You're to refuse the vaccination. You're to refuse a test. You see, you're not to go along with this madness that Esau is pushing forth. So Revelation 14:9 says what? And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, which is the current system that's set up on the earth, the Edomite power structure, that's the beast. You see? Babylon, NATO, and the EU. Fashioned after what? The ancient Roman Empire. If you're worshiping this system, you're trying to make it in this system, you're going off, man. If you want this shit to continue on, you are going off, man. That's you worshiping the beast. And it says what? And his image, the way of life, the doctrines, the philosophies. You see? The standard of living. All that shit is a part of the image. You see? From the alphabet community, the transhumanism, the false religions, the false idols that you are allowed to serve here, all that's a part of the image of the beast. And it says what? And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. That mark is talking about what? The RFID chip or that Neuralink. So if you're going along with this system, you love how this place is set, you love the way of life of this place, which is the image, and you receive that mark in your forehead or in your hand, which is that Neuralink or that RFID chip, what's going to happen? Verse 10 tells you, it says what? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That's the judgment written for anyone who receives that Neuralink or that RFID chip, man. To be destroyed with fire and brimstone in the form of 200 million thermonuclear warheads, man. In the form of nuclear missiles raining down upon Babylon the Great. Fire will rain from the skies, man. And if you have that chip, and if you have that RFID, the RFID chip or that Neuralink up in you, the Most High is going to roast you with thermonuclear fire, man. We continually bring this out because this is the major fucking prophecy, man. A major prophecy. You see, this is a major prophecy, man. And this is it. So if you go and bow the knee to Esau and take that damn chip, you are going to be destroyed by way of fire, man. In the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11 says what? And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest, day nor night, who worship the beast and his image. And whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So you're going to be tormented in that fire, man. That's what the judgment calls for. And you cannot get this chip and talking about, oh, I can repent from it. I'm going to take it out at the last minute. No, because you already bowed the knee to Esau, man. So your ass is done for. If you go and get that chip and then you take it out, guess what? You're still going to be destroyed. Because you had to bow the knee to go get it anyway. You wouldn't really with YAHAWASHI, even if you having that thought, man. You shouldn't be having those type of thoughts. You see? So you might say, what? So what are we supposed to do? You said to escape this, man. YAHAWASHI